the first time hearing from head coach Mike Tomlin since Aaron Rodgers appeared on the Pat McAfee show last week. Tomlin was asked essentially if he gave Rodgers a deadline to make a decision about joining the team. It's new on SportsCenter.
To be quite honest with you, I don't know that I meant that specifically for him or the circumstance. I'm just saying in general, you know, when you report to training camp, man, it's a line of demarcation for development of a group individually and collectively.
We go to camp with 4 quarterbacks. Right now we have 2 on the roster, and you know, all options are on the table. And how we acquire those last 2, I assure you we'll have 4 when we get to Latrobe.
So much to discuss. Our Steelers reporter Brooke Pryor is here. Mike Tannenbaum and McCourty, the T brothers, Jason McCourty, here to talk about everything Pittsburgh Steelers. And Brooke, I want to start with you for a moment. What can you tell us about where things stand with the team trying to sign Aaron Rodgers?
Well, Matt, let me tell you, the people that are sitting in that building behind me, they are not panicking about their quarterback situation or a lack of decision from Aaron Rodgers, because based on the conversations I've had with people sitting in that building, they tell me that there's nothing that surprised them about what Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show about his indecision about the future. In fact, when Rodgers said, those who need to know, count the Steelers among those folks that know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. They are letting him take his time and decide on his timeline. Of course, Aaron Rodgers was here. He visited the Steelers' Southside facility, and Mike Tomlin was asked if it's typical for a free agent visitor to come in, rent his own sedan, drive around the side of the building, and Mike Tomlin said, I don't know that I'm looking for typical.
It's true, and you're not going to get it with Aaron Rodgers, so everyone's on the same page there. And we bring this up because, again, Tomlin of the Steelers spoke today. The draft is just a couple of days away. They picked 21st. We'll get to all that in a minute. But I want to have you speak GM and speak Aaron Rodgers. What did you hear from him last week when he spoke on Pat McAfee?
Yeah, he's out in my mind, and here's why. We go back a couple of years ago when he went from the Packers to the Jets. He was there for the first day of the offseason program. He was clearly all in. When you're looking for a battlefield commander to withstand the rigors of a 17-game regular season, as Coach Tomlin would say himself, we want volunteers, not hostages. The offseason program's begun, and we didn't spend $30 million a year and give up a second-round pick, guys, to have Mason Rudolph be our quarterback. So I'm glad we got the information if we're Pittsburgh before Thursday night. And I've been in this situation before. You have to have the mindset, if we're the Steelers, we're going to get a quarterback Thursday night.
Right, so you talked about right now it is Mason Rudolph, and let's just assume Aaron Rodgers is out. If the Steelers just don't make any quarterback moves whatsoever, I mean, they have because they're going to tune the roster, but let's just say they stay where they are.
Yeah.
What's their outlook for 2025 if they bring in a DK Metcalf and Rudolph's their guy?
I would define it as insanity, because it would be the Steelers doing the same thing that we've seen year after year after year and expecting different results. A playoff exit in the first time they get there. So you look at this Pittsburgh Steelers team. We heard Omar Khan say, hey, we're going to get 2 more quarterbacks on the roster. You have to hope that one of those quarterbacks is Aaron Rodgers and the other one is a draft pick coming out of this one, whether that's Jackson Dart, whether Shedeur Sanders falls, whether that's a Jalen Milroe, a guy that you can develop. That, to me, is the only way you look at this Steelers team. You have a positive outlook on 2025.
When we saw those quarterback dominoes fall in free agency, we're sitting, well, what are the Steelers going to do? And they did nothing.
Nothing.
And they're past the point of that now.
But that's why Thursday night's the backstop to all those things. You could backstop all those decisions by making sure you get one Thursday night.
Great segue, because one of the players that may be an option in Pittsburgh, Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. Tomlin spoke about Shedeur this morning.
The things that stood out were evident in this video. There's a toughness there that doesn't get talked about enough. There's a competitive spirit there that doesn't get talked about enough. I know he's very talented and has made a lot of plays for his university and his team. But the intangible qualities displayed on tape were impressive to me.
Okay, Brooke, I said it. Steelers' 21st pick. What more did they say about Sanders and their quarterback draft strategy?
Matt, let me borrow a phrase from our friend Aaron Rodgers, that the Steelers are open to anything and attached to nothing as far as drafting a quarterback goes in the next couple days, because as it is my understanding, this is a team that there are some quarterbacks that they really like that they could take in the first round, but they're not going to reach for a quarterback. They went through this in 2022 with Kenny Pickett, and things didn't work out. And they did learn from that experience that you can do all your homework on a guy and you can feel really comfortable with him, but sometimes it's not the right fit. And so in doing that, they have learned and grown from that experience. And I asked Mike Tomlin relative to the homework that they did in 2022 or any other year they were considering a quarterback, had they done that volume of work on this class? And he said, I don't know that I'm looking at it comparatively, but we feel like we have been thorough in our evaluation with these quarterbacks. And by the way, if they don't draft a guy in the first round, they have a guy in the building in Mason Rudolph, who they have drafted in the last couple years. I guess it's been 6-7 years now, but they feel really good about him. And the guys in the locker room rally around Mason Rudolph, and they will play for him.
And Brooke, thank you. And we talk about this all the time, Mike Tannenbaum, how NFL people will talk themselves to making a quarterback into a first round, when in reality is probably a second, third, or fourth. But if the class is weak, they're going to say, oh, this guy's a first rounder because it's best of a weak class. Not saying that's the case for this class, just saying that happens all the time in the draft. But then Shedeur Sanders, he's been looked, poked, and prodded coming into this process. What's a good fit for him?
I think it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you mentioned picked and poked and prodded. At the end of the college football season, we were looking at Shedeur Sanders as being the first overall pick, and it was a conversation between him and Cam Ward. Since then, a lot has changed. So the Steelers drafting at 21, if a Shedeur Sanders is there, he would be the ideal pick to me. We heard the way Tomlin spoke about him, but I think on top of that, he has the confidence to come in and possibly play right away if the Aaron Rodgers situation doesn't work. And I think that's going to be a big part. A guy that has changed different teams that he's been on in his college career, he shows up ready to put the work in right away.
And Jason, the other thing is he is tough. He's been sacked 94 times in 2 years. He's only missed one game. So, Matt, I know he's not ideal from, the high ceiling, but he is a good, competent NFL quarterback who could come in and start right away. And I actually think he's better than Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson. So despite all the noise and the bumps, they could improve their quarterback situation by drafting Shedeur 48 hours from now.
There's 3 quarterbacks mentioned in the first round: Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and then Jackson Dart. He will join us coming up on SportsCenter to talk his prospects. Prior to Matt, back with you. Bills fell just short of reaching the Super Bowl last year, losing the AFC title game to the Chiefs. Buffalo begins looking ahead to next season. Off-season workouts underway this week. MVP Josh Allen already got a new $330 million contract extension this offseason. He spoke today about how last season ended. It's new on SportsCenter.
It'll still sit with me. A lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas in that game, and that's why we play, is to be in those types of situations. And again, we're still fighting, still going to try to find a way to push through that, and whether it's them or whoever we got to play moving forward. But just use it as fuel and have a good OTAs and a good camp, and try to go into the season starting strong. Feels like it hasn't been that long since we were back in this building, but at the same time, it feels like it's been a long time being away from the guys and getting into our offense, and just excited to be back.
And the Bills entered the draft with just $7 million in cap space, the second fewest in the NFL. Look at the acquisitions. Joey Bosa, a big one. Michael Hoyt, Larry Ogunjobi. But they'll be without them in the first 6 games of the season due to a PED's violation. Jordan Reed has the Bills drafting corner Trey Amos in the first round.
The longest, toughest postseason climb. And after all that, it's Ohio State together at the mountaintop.
There really wasn't a lot of people that saw this vision right here. This group of guys, this is very, very special.
When I came here, I talked about winning a national championship. I'm just so glad that God gave me a chance to be a Buckeye.
What a beautiful day that was. We are so happy to have Ohio State's Quinshon Judkins here. He joins us on behalf of Old Spice. So we just saw you were crowned a national champion this year with Ohio State, scored 3 touchdowns, just very casual in the title game. When you look back at that day, what stands out to you the most?
Oh, man, what better story can you have? A group of guys who came back for their last season, transfers, coming all together for one reason, which is to win at the end of the day. And everything ended up working out. So a great story and moments that I'll forever remember.
I like that you said everything ended up working out because you just spent 1 season at Ohio State, got your championship. Obviously, you're headed to the NFL draft now. But what did you learn while you were there that you will take as you continue your career?
I was like, you'll forever be a Buckeye. When you go to Ohio State, you don't know what it truly means to be a part of that culture. But when you step into the locker room and you see the community and you get involved in how valuable everything is and how passionate the fans are and the coaches, you appreciate everything and, everything it takes to get to that point and everything a part of the process, honestly.
How would you describe the culture at Ohio State?
One of a kind. I say one of a kind. It's like no other. I say you just go there, you embrace it. It takes a special type of person to be a part of an Ohio State team.
All right, so as we know, this NFL draft, there's been a lot of chatter around the quarterback class, but this year's running back class, it is really, really deep. What makes you stand out?
Yeah. Man, my ability to just be a home run hitter. Physical, powerful, elusiveness, speed, vision, patience, great natural hands, ability to run in between the outside the tackles, and just be versatile and line up in the slot as well. Being a mismatch for linebackers, and coaches, you can use me anywhere. So I feel like that's some of my biggest attributes and things that I love about my game.
Yeah, we definitely see that in the highlights right there. You've been meeting with NFL teams that could possibly wind up taking you in Thursday's draft. I just saw that you met with Jerry Jones. When I say the words, Quinshon Judkins, future Dallas Cowboy, how does that sound to you?
I mean, I'm appreciative for the opportunity that any team gives me just to come in and contribute in the right way and help an organization win football games. So when my name is called, I'll be ready.
Okay, so speaking of that, the most recent edition of Mel Kiper's mock draft has you going to the Chargers at pick 55. Of course, we know the former Michigan head coach, Jim Harbaugh, is the head coach of the Chargers. How would that work out for you as a Buckeye?
That meeting went great. I think as a Buckeye, though, I don't know. It'll be hard for me to start wearing a little blue, but I guess I have to learn. But I had a formal with him at the combine, and it was nothing but awesome. Just talk football about me personally, my background, and just getting to know him as well. So it was a great process.
What did you learn about him as a head coach?
Just how detailed he is. When he asks you certain questions about your footwork, different things that certain people don't ask, it just shows you how attention to detail that he is as a coach too.
Okay, so we saw Will Howard, obviously, at the beginning of this conversation. There's a good chance that both of the quarterbacks that you played with, both Jackson Dart and Will Howard, will get drafted. What would you tell teams interested in Jackson and Will?